What is good, everybody? I am back. It's been a few weeks, and I told you I would update you with the controller settings that I'm using. We've had plenty of time to hear from the pros and get their feedback and insights. Today, I'm going to share with you guys what I'm using and, more importantly, how to kind of set your dead zones up. That's going to be the most important part about making this game feel good. So everything is applicable to all players, but opening up here real quickly, for the PC players on Steam, there's something you're going to want to do here, and that's go into the Steam settings controller, click General Controller Settings, and it's going to bring up this guy right here. At the very bottom, you're going to select your controller minus the Xbox One Elite. This is an older Elite, and you click Calibrate. You want to turn the left stick dead zone and the right stick dead zone as far down as possible. They're going to default up to here. This is actually a really good visual example of how the dead zone settings work when it is at the very base value here. Come on, good. There we go. You'll notice that my right thumbstick doesn't actually sit true center. That's why you're seeing that red. I have to kind of push it back. But if I flick the stick and it lands, it's actually registering a very small input, meaning my aim is going to be moving very, very slightly within Halo. The reason we set these so low in Steam is because the settings within Halo Infinite let us set our dead zones separate of Steam. We want this to be like the baseline that we're working from here. So we'll click OK, and we'll come back in. So if you are brand new to Halo or just FPS games in general on controllers, you want to be aware of what stick drift is. Not all controllers are made the same. There's manufacturing inconsistencies. And when you are playing, if you come down here and we go all the way down to the dead zones, I'll look at here's my move settings and my look settings right now. If I drop my center dead zone and my axial dead zone down to 0.5 here, you will see that I'm actually turning. I'm actually going a little bit down right. And if I slap it back, it's going to keep doing it. The trick is running the lowest dead zone possible without having stick drift. And so I actually have to raise this up quite a bit because this is an older controller. If I go to 4.5, you will see if I flick it. The great part is it's a little inconsistent here. All right, there it is. You can very, very carefully see an ultra small amount of drift happening on the stick at 4.5. But that's because this is an older controller and the sticks are pretty loose. If you have a brand new tight pad, you can probably run these things very, very low. But if I bump these up to, let's say 5.5, because I've done a bunch of testing, and I stick it here, I still can kind of get it. There it is right there. I'm not touching the controller at all right now, and my aim is moving ever so slightly. But when I bump it up to 6, I don't run into this issue. Now, the same could be said, though, about your move thumbstick. So if I try and slam the stick, oh, there it is right there. Notice how my left thumbstick is also registering a very small amount of right movement, which then is translating into the game. So we're going to come down here and go back up to our move. And I'm going to bump this up. I think 4 is where I can go, right? I still kind of have it at 4. And this is, again, because I have an older controller. If you look at a lot of the pros, a lot of them are running like 0 and 1. There we go. Oh, I think we primarily got rid of it, but I'll bump it back up one last time here. And then we'll talk about the max input threshold because that's also quite important. Oop. We'll do 5.5, 5.5. So you want to start with the lowest possible dead zone that you can have. And essentially what you're doing is telling the game, I want you to register movement as close to me moving the stick as possible. You don't want to have this big gray area where it's not picking up any stick movement, especially if you're good with fine-tuned aiming. All right, the max input threshold is basically how long until you hit the max acceleration curve. On the movement side of things, I've got it all the way maxed out because I want to be hitting the fastest possible acceleration curve in the shortest amount of distance possible. Yes, that means that very small, tiny, minute movements aren't going to be there, but it's going to be easier for me to hit that max acceleration curve. If I were to go into the look max input threshold and do the exact same thing, wait, I jumped way past it. Sorry, don't know why. If I were to do the same thing, I play 1.5. If I take it to 15. You'll notice here that I barely have to, that's halfway to hit the max acceleration curve. You can feel when the aim acceleration kicks in really heavily. So here I'm barely moving the stick. Here's about halfway. And right there, you can, right there. you can definitely feel where that hits in, and you max out the acceleration. I, for my movement stick, want that because I want to be hitting that max strafe speed as fast as possible. Like if I'm on mouse and keyboard, literally when I press D, I'm pegging the edge of the stick. It's 100% or 0. It doesn't have like a variance in between where I can like slightly move the left stick on my controller. Can't do that on the keyboard. I can like literally just hit the maximum inputs possible. When I have that max input threshold set that way, it's really easy to hit the max strafe speeds without having to like really push the controller all the way to an edge. So just something to know. A lot of pros are utilizing that max input threshold so that they can play how they want to. Not everybody's playing that way, but again, that's what I have discovered is lowering these dead zones as low as possible. And the axial dead zone, I've heard a lot of explanations for. I think this is sort of that diagonal movement, right? That diagonal angle before it registers the minimum input possible to move it. Lowering these dead zones as much as you can without stick drift will give you the most amount of responsiveness. Now, everybody's going to have a little bit different play style. I understand that, but so far for me, getting these as low as possible has been very beneficial in making the game finally feel a little bit more like the older Halo titles. Additionally, when I come up to the look acceleration, I'm playing on a look accel of 5 now, and I'm still playing on 5 sensitivity. I like it. I may bump to 5.5, but this is what I've been utilizing so far. It works for me. I also want to showcase one other setting that you may see a lot of pros doing, and that is how low the BR is on the screen. Do you see how it's kind of low and tucked away? If you go to the settings and you bump over to the UI, you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see that you have these weapon offset values. What these do is move the weapon left or right on the screen for the horizontal, and this will move it up and down on the screen, and the depth will pull it back towards you or further away from you. If you get this thing as low as possible, you've got more screen real estate up here versus if we were to bring it all the way up to the top, and hopefully this registers. I'll try and use the mouse so we could skip all that. Great. Probably pretty cool for thumbnails, but it kind of takes up a lot of screen real estate, whereas you come back over to the UI, all the way down to the bottom, and we drop this to its lowest possible point. Nice and low, tucked away. Very Halo 2-esque, and something I would recommend. You don't have to. I mean, I don't pull the depth back because I kind of like having this here. I mean, you guys watch YouTube gameplays, you watch the channel content here. I kind of like seeing some of the weapon models. I don't want them fully off screen like Quake style. So a couple of, just tips and settings and things that I've been playing around with that have made a big difference for me. Very curious to know what you guys think about all this, and let me know what settings you're running for your dead zones. Are you on a new controller, an old controller? Let me know, and we'll keep experimenting, learning. But so far, really liking the way these things feel, and starting to actually feel a lot more comfortable to play this game with. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Check out the playlist on screen for more Halo tip videos, and I'll see you again very soon.